We are off and running, and so are the LA Chargers, finally getting it done.
Geez.
Jim Harbaugh is officially the head coach of the Bolts. They got the deal done yesterday afternoon/evening, depending on where you're at in the country listening to this.
We are!
And now the LA Chargers
Get them out of there.
finally get it done. They land their guy. It seemed like this was the one that made the most sense from a landing spot standpoint with the quarterback and just the marketplace and what they were looking for. And so the Brandon Staley era is over and long gone, and we welcome in Jim Harbaugh to
The
Southern
Harbaugh
California.
era is long gone, too.
Yeah.
And they welcome Harbaugh in.
It's true.
I love how you're so happy just because he left Michigan.
Get him out of there. Now we might have a chance.
I don't look at it
Even
that
though
way,
we don't
man.
play them. We don't play 'em.
I want to try to beat the best.
That's true, but we haven't been able to. So I'll take qualifiers.
Yeah.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, I'm not above I mean, he left. So, I mean, if he stayed, it's like, yeah, we want that smoke. But he left. So since he left, I mean, you know.
I think there's a couple things to look at here, too, in regards to his departure. You know, I don't think it's anything that obviously Michigan didn't give him within a contract as far as the immunity clause, right, in the event that he gets punished by the NCAA or however you want to look at it. Like, I think this was the natural next step for Jim Harbaugh. 2 years ago, remember, it was the Minnesota Vikings he was flirting with. Last year was the Denver Broncos. And this was a team that, and I said it as soon as the season ended, and there was a speculation, it made the most sense. I know that he's enamored with Justin Herbert as far as a quarterback and what they have there. You got to have a difference maker. I was at a charity event yesterday talking about that with, to me, maybe the most talented ever, Dan Marino. Like, if you don't have that guy that you feel like is a difference maker at the quarterback spot, you don't have a chance. He walks into the door with one of the best and most talented, in my opinion, Justin Herbert. So that helps. And then he's got kind of, you know, just the personal ties back to the West Coast and where things started. But I think this is that opportunity where they're going to structure things to support him the way he sees fit. And they've already got some of the pieces that he needs in order to be successful. So, I mean, look, I think he's got one of the better winning percentage all time, minimum 50 games coaching in the NFL. Like, people tend to forget he was really damn good when he was with the San Francisco 49ers. So this is going to be a ton of fun for the NFL. I think the sad thing is for college football fans is you got the opportunity to get all the sound bites and the quirkiness that was Jim Harbaugh, and now it goes to the NFL again.
I mean, Ohio State did all right after Urban left, so you know they should be all right. But as far as him going to the league, I think it's sensible, it's practical, and it's what it should be. I thought he was the best one on the market.
Wow.
I mean, I honestly do. I think all things given, you know, getting a Harbaugh into a situation like a Chargers team that has underperformed for quite some time, it'd be interesting to see how the roster shapes up, who they keep, who they get rid of, what he does to begin with. I'm intrigued by that. I know there's the idea of control or understanding, you know, what Harbaugh will want, what this organization is willing to do to make sure they give him all the things that he wants. You know, obviously he doesn't have to deal with the rules and regulations that he just came from. You know, he can actually buy a free agent a burger and some fries and stuff like that. He can actually do things and not have to worry about, you know, falling under investigation. And a lot of times that's why good coaches don't want to go to the college ranks.
Decent places out here to get a burger, too.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with the recruiting. They don't want to deal with all of the rules. So I think he's going to be a superstar for the Chargers. It's a LA market. They weren't in LA the last time that you figured you could have seen him be in an LA market. And, you know, he was in San Fran and that went well. I think in LA, I think it's going to be even. I think he makes his brand and his presence. I mean, I know this might sound kind of harsh, but I think it makes football relevant in LA.
Wow.
I think he does.
McVay's doing a good job.
Yeah, I think he's done. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but we saw the reaction to the Rams. It wasn't like.
Yeah, you had politicians wearing St. Louis Rams jerseys at the parade. I mean,
like rubbing in their face. Right?
Yeah,
I'm just saying I think Harbaugh brings a different level of intrigue and interest to this market.
I could understand if he had one stop along the way and was successful, and it's like, well, you've seen what he's done at his best. Hopefully he can bring that here. Everywhere he's gone, it's worked. University of San Diego, Stanford, the Niners, Michigan, every level,
Burger
every
King.
spot, it's worked. So, like, the idea that you look at this, and when you go back to the Niners days, there was a lot of people who looked at Alex Smith as a bust. Like, they looked at Alex Smith as a bust.
They couldn't win. When they brought him in, they couldn't win. Even Mike Singletary told him, can't win. Can't win with you.
Jim Harbaugh, with Alex Smith as his quarterback, had them in an overtime in an NFC championship game against the Giants. And then the next year, Smith got injured, and Colin Kaepernick, who nobody had Kaepernick being a franchise level quarterback, and they were in a Super Bowl
still
with
riding that
Kaepernick.
wave.
Right. So we've got a lot of evidence and years and multiple stops of evidence that he works wherever he goes, and it's going to be a little bit entertaining along the way. It's a home run hire, if you ask me.
Did the Chargers win?
Yes.
Because it was, he interviewed in Atlanta, and Atlanta was the other place that was contemplating between him and Bill Belichick, and I think they've actually interviewed after those two, 12 other candidates so far. Like, that's one where LA was able to seal the deal. I think it's a win without a doubt. But now you kind of turn your attention and focus on how things are going in Atlanta. And I go back to, and I heard more about this yesterday, the front office does not want Bill Belichick. Arthur Blank obviously brought him in for 2 interviews. And I think there's a strong want from their owner, but not some of the people who are in that front office, because they know they're going to have to work for Bill. They're not working with Bill, they're working for Bill. There's a big difference there. And so they're pushing every other candidate, right? We just heard Mike Vrabel's name thrown out there, and he'd be a tremendous candidate. But that's where they're at. And I think as an owner, if I was Arthur Blank, I'd be looking at it saying to myself, if we really wanted Jim Harbaugh, we should have been able to go out and get him. Like, there should have been nothing that stood between them getting Jim Harbaugh. And maybe for Jim Harbaugh, he ultimately always wanted to go back to L.A., back to Cali. And that's because that's where his roots are. And that's where, he kind of started coaching close to there in San Diego. And it might make more sense for him and his family. But the reality is right now, you kind of turn your focus on what jobs are open and go, I don't know, man, how things are operating down there in Atlanta. You may be concerned with, like, some of the people or the folks, whoever are factoring into Arthur Blank's decision, say you could be holding back from allowing our team to go find a coach to go win us a Super Bowl.
Yeah, because if you're going to deal with that with Belichick, you'd have to assume you're going to deal with that with Harbaugh as well. Harbaugh ain't going to want to answer to nobody.
Do you think Vrabel's going to want to either?
No.
Like, here's the reality is, these coaches, some of them, and then we don't really know because there's not public knowledge what they get paid. $20 million, though, is a number I heard. If you're paying your coach, if you're paying him $20 million, and if you're in the front office and you think that you're going to be on equal ground as him, give me a break.
No.
It's simple. He's getting paid more than you. Like, his decision, his everything he does matters more than you. He's getting paid more. There's only one guy whose decision matters more. That's Arthur Blank.
Paying him.
Yeah. What do you think? Right. We haven't seen the details on the numbers financially for Harbaugh, but he was making what, 12 a year at Michigan? If you had to guess, over under.
He was offered, I believe, a 10-year deal that was somewhere north of 11, around 12, or what have you. I would imagine it's at least at 15, if not more. And then depending on the control, it could be up even higher.
Jeez.
So that's the crazy part is, think about
Brandon
it.
Staley was making $4 million a year.
your coach, and that's a guess, by the way. It's a 5-year deal, so I don't know how much they want to do and invest into it. But you're hiring a coach And in this case, Jim Harbaugh, who's probably going to, handle and oversee everything. So it's kind of like you're paying him to be a coach, but also a general manager, right? That's 2 jobs. And, he's probably going to delegate his play calling like he did during his time at Michigan and other points in his career. Maybe that's a bad assumption. But either way, like, you can justify it, and it doesn't hit against your salary cap. So if you're serious about winning a Super Bowl and maximizing this window of time you have with Justin Herbert, you go pay him whatever you need to, right? Like, that's what this is all about, is getting over the hump of the Chargers and actually becoming the team that I think we all think they can be.
I mean, listen, I picked him to go to the Super Bowl, so, it looks like I'm going to be at least a year off when it comes to the Bolts. But nonetheless,
a year off?
Yeah, at least a year off.
Dang.